Hello, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. This is MicheleMarieDalene, North American Snookery. Hail Mary me, as we are at the Sip Kitchen again. This September 10th, 2014. And today we are going to talk about a couple of interesting topics that I discussed with you yesterday, which unfortunately the audio podcast did not get out yet. It will be released probably this afternoon. The several community activist groups and leaders have encouraged the United Nations to rethink the concept of the war on drugs, claiming that the punitive actions, criminal actions that were done at the time of the war on drugs to make holding onto controlled substances a felony is not working very well. It's creating more problems that are worse. And their say is we need to come up with a better plan. I said that yesterday, and I will say it again. The war on drugs is a failure. Now, it's a failure because the innocent bystanders are the ones who are getting hurt. The innocent bystanders who are using these illicit products, not because they're trying to be assholes, but because it provides some form of relief or release from stressors, anxieties, and emotional and physical pain. These products should not be controlled that way. I do agree that there should be regulation, but I don't think criminal and punitive actions is necessarily the right way to go. Why? Well, let's look at it this way. When you tell a person who needs help that if they ask for help, they're going to go to jail and they're going to lose their job and they're going to be marked as a felon for the rest of their natural and unnatural lives, the person is not going to come up to you and say, could you please give me some assistance for my drug issue? They're going to quietly stay in the shadows, popping pills, popping crack, popping cocaine or heroin, because that's all they know. I stand behind a group of advocates, including Richard Branson, who are saying is we need to rethink our policies as a global community, in addition to rethinking our policies within the United States of America on how we treat people who use drugs. Now, the first thing I will tell you is people use drugs because they basically look around them and they see that everything has gone pear-shaped all over, especially in their immediate communities. Winston, for example, has suffered a lot of decline since the 1955 flood, and even more so in the last 20 years. This has happened to many small-town America. Why? Well, one thing, if you don't find ways to get redevelop the town, such as creating new jobs, there is no jobs. And that means that for so many people, that their opportunities of living the American dream goes down the shitter. And I'm not kidding when I say that. Let me tell you a story about my situation just so you understand that I certainly understand this personally. I am legally blind, okay? I am partially deaf. I have Asperger's. I have arthritis in my right knee. My left knee. And yet, some people say, because of the way I'm outspoken, the way I stand up for the right and what is just, that I am a screwball. Well, let me tell you something. When you see inequities in the world around you, and you say nothing, and allow it to continue, then you're really the screwball, because you know better. You just decided to act by not acting. I act by asking to start a dialogue to see if we can correct the things that are wrong with our communities and work our way up to the next level. We can't continue to act as if it's okay that our poor and our disenfranchised are allowed to live like animals. And that we are telling those people who want to achieve the American dream that you are not allowed to have it. That just isn't fair. For example, yesterday, me and my case manager, we went to the Section 8 meeting for the renewal of my lease. And we got into a brief conversation with the lady. Her name is Wandy. It's a unique name, mind you, so I'm not going to give her last name because I will just give her respect that she probably wants our privacy. And one of the things she told me and my case managers, the support system for the disabled and the disenfranchised is just about none. There is nothing out there to help the American poor to get ahead. Isn't that pathetic that we have created a society after the concept of Lyndon B. Johnson's war on poverty that has failed? We have talked about all the entitlement programs that were created in the new age of war on poverty. We talked about how you wanted to create the Social Security Disability Act, how we wanted to create entitlement programs with the goal of finally centralizing and simplifying the process of getting the assistance that is needed by the poor to get ahead. And yet, at the same time, as I also mentioned in yesterday's broadcast, we also run into a lot of people who have misused the system. But those people who have misused the system should not be complaining. The ones that are complaining, me included, have not misused the system, have done everything we can to show other people, prospective employers or whatever, that we're willing to do things and we're willing to work. But the minute they say I'm legally blind, they think I'm a Martian and an illegal alien kind of personality. It's just basically the untouchable. Why? You don't think, for example, I can sweep your hallway? You don't think I can clean your dishes? You don't think I miss working in food service? Let me tell you something. I didn't become the Snow Queen to sit on my big fat ass. I am the North American Snow Queen because I represent the reality of what's going on in the world. I'm trying to finally inject some warmth into the society that has basically turned the air conditioner extra few notches colder. So you could say I am the antithesis of the North American Snow Queen. Not out there to freeze your ass. I'd like to warm it a little bit, actually. I'd like you to think about the fact is that people in this world want to get ahead by their own means. And like I said yesterday, if people, unfortunately, have to sell illicit drugs because they can't make an honest living, why should we be throwing them in jail when they're just demonstrating that they want to be business people, entrepreneurs? They're going out there, they're doing a trade that's hardly safe. Where one day, it's like Secret Agent Man The odds are you'll be dead by the next day. The truth is that people have no choice. Big business has slammed the door in your face. Small business would love to hire you, but they can't afford to because of Obamacare and regulations. So you sit there, unemployed, desperate, on a tiny stipend, and you wonder why in the heckin's name you can't get ahead. The sad truth is, you can't get ahead because the system does not want you to get ahead. The system wants you to stay in your place. To basically just quietly shut your trap, eat your junk food, drink your beer, smoke your fags, and basically act like it's okay. It's not okay. It's wrong. This country was built upon, especially in the time of the Victorian era, and I know that because I was here. This country was built upon, you want to do it, you put your nose to the grindstone and you get out there and you do what you gotta do. It's never been a country that go ahead and sit there like Oliver Twist. Oh, excuse me, sir, can I have some more? Have some more what? What do you want to do to make it happen? Anything? Oh, it's funny because when I talked to my case manager, one of the first things she told me was this, Michelle, you're going to have to lower your expenses. I said, I can't, because those expenses are the ones that I use to keep informed, to keep enlightened, and to keep on top of the things around me. That also is used to help operate my network. Pink Rose Communications. That's right. It's a communications company. Isn't that amazing? Oh, I'm sorry. I haven't made a profit. Okay. In fact, I'm actually operating at a loss. But yet, I still dedicated enough to keep pushing the envelope and keep pushing until finally someday I can file an income tax return showing me having a profit. But not because I'm a greedy captain of industry. I want to enjoy the American dream, the same as the next person. I want to be able to have a house. I'd like to be able to finally have a room that's big enough for the studio between the radio and the video studio so me and Lomi could finally do more. A room like a basement. Why not? A big basement where we can go ahead and set up our studio gear, our lighting, microphones, and maybe even have live performers on the radio station. Yes, we have one of those too, don't we? It's not amazing. And yet, when I actually contacted the Federal Communications Commission about trying to go from a low-power Part 15 AM radio station to a fully legalized high-power AM radio station, they told me I had to pay $3,000 filing fee, non-refundable. Well, why am I going to come up with $3,000 non-refundable filing fee when you're on disability and you only get $1,212 a month? I got to pay rent, I got to pay utilities, I got to pay bills just like everybody else does. In fact, some people probably think that half the stuff I do is basically it's nothing. I want to show you something. I'm not afraid to talk about my budget on the air. In fact, I'm going to tell to you right now. I'm going to read you how much I get. I'm going to show you how much I get. Now you can understand me. Okay? This is my actual, honest-to-God budget sheet. This is not one of those made-up pieces of finagle fluff you hear about. I get a total of $1,212 a month. Comes in 2 checks from Social Security. Okay? Out of that, my rent is $286 a month. I have to pay that every month. The electric bills vary because we run the air conditioning because in the summertime I have to because otherwise I'd be sick. All right? So the last bill was $116.11. My satellite dish, which keeps me informed and knowledge of the world, was $93.46. I could not afford to pull pay the full $93.46. So I was only able to mail a payment for $50 this month, which means that now I'm in the hole by $43.46 is what I'm going to be owing for next month. And the cell phone bill, which is through T-Mobile, which is a prepaid plan, is $53.85 with taxes. The internet bill from AT&T U.S. is $56, and my home phone for the 3 phone lines is $130.13. Between all the 3 phone bills, I pay a total of $239.98 in expenses. Then we get into the personal needs. Plus, unfortunately, I got credit cards because I ran them up because I had no choice, even though I tried to pay them off. Hair care. Just one visit to the hair salon cost me $50. That's 50. Okay, but I put $40 in my savings account this month. I usually put in $20. Medical insurance, or AARP, is $12.60. PayPal credit payment is $30. Capital One, first of my 3 credit cards, is $40. JCPenney's, I paid them $60 this month. First Premier, I paid them another $40. IOUs, which is for debt collection company, and a food tab from Louis' restaurant downstairs, came out to be about $37.83, which I rounded off to $40 here. Total liability, $222.60. That's IOUs, credit cards, things like that, separate from expenses. Total expenses paid out is $1,028.61, leaving me with a discretionary funding budget of $183.39 each month that is used to pay for the equipment, to pay for clothes, food, and any other sundry items that I use every day. This is the reason why I had no choice but to go to Patreon.com and to GoFundMe.com. Because I don't have the resources to keep doing these programs otherwise. I have to have food on my table. I have to eat. I have to go to the dentist this month coming up. That's going to be $65 just to have them pop open their mouth and take a look at the teeth to see which ones are broken and which ones are good. Plus, then after that, after I get the estimate, I got to put that on GoFundMe, and then I got to see if I can get people to try to agree to help me fix what is broken. I must inform you, it is not broken because of lack of responsibility on my part. I have done everything I could to keep my teeth in good shape. But I'm 46 years old, and I'm not going to live forever. And as such, there's just only so much you can do before your choppers finally call it quits. And I mean, these teeth have been neglected not because of my personal choices, but because of the lack of funding and the lack of resources available to me to keep up with just preventive maintenance. Isn't it pathetic that, like I've mentioned many times before, that our own government does not pay for dental care on our Medicare? Why? Don't you think that we need to have our teeth maintained? We gotta eat, guys. What are you gonna do? Put our food into a meat grinder and service slushies for dinner? I mean, is that what it's going to take before you finally realize that reconstituted ground-up roast beef dinner, for example, doesn't taste as good as being able to chew through a real piece of meat? I mean, this is the way it's going now, is that nobody is going to be able to keep going. I'm certainly not alone. So how, for example, like I said to my case manager yesterday, am I ever to try to keep cutting expenses when the sad truth is that some of those expenses are essential to keep doing the radio and video programmings that me and Lomi are doing? We depend on the internet to keep us informed of what's going on with the world and to get information out to you. No internet? What am I supposed to do? Use smoke signals? Okay, seriously? In fact, today isn't interesting that I bring that up. When today is supposed to be a protest day called Internet Slowdown Day. The protesting, the complaint of the fact is that the Federal Communications Commission wants to rescind Article 2, which maintains the net neutrality or equality of the internet for all people. Why are they doing that, you ask? Because they want to get the big bad boys that can make a lot more money to pay for this higher tier speeds. But does that mean the customer is going to end up paying too? In the long run, they will. It trickles down, you know? If you got, say, for example, Netflix, which certainly did play for higher tier for Verizon, only find out that Verizon was still kind of giving them the shaft. These people found themselves constantly asking, is this what I want to do as a company? Keep paying more money so I can get more out to the consumer? And it means I have to increase the prices of my product and possibly outprice myself from the market. That's not a solution. So what they're doing is they're spearheading the Internet Slowdown Day today on the 10th. It started at midnight. And in fact, one of the things I will put right now is the Internet Slowdown Day would also mean that the day will come when there will not be possible to do YouTube videos because my network connection might just get a little bit too crusty slow. It's already slow enough because it's ADSL 2+. It's not high-speed internet for the cable company. It's through AT&T U-verse, okay? It's costing me a lot of money. And I'm on one of the better tier plans. $56 a month may not seem much to some people. Fine. If you don't think $56 is too much, it doesn't apply to you. But for a person who only makes $1,212 a month and pays over $1,000 in expenses, that's a big chunk of change. And it's not going to be any easier in the near future if Congress and the Federal Communications Commissions keep doing these actions of trying to destroy the ability for individuals to get ahead because of their oligarchy that they have created where big business is controlling our government. And that's exactly what's happened. And it's getting worse. Here's the sad truth. Many years ago, as I said, back in the Victorian era, you could seriously get a job if you really wanted to. If you didn't know what to do, you could always go to a workhouse and actually earn a skill. You could actually come out with a skill. And then you could take that and go to work. In fact, they may even have job placements already available for you because in some industries, there was a strong need for employees. But today, not so much. Something to think about. The next topic, of course, today we're going to be talking about is, again, is also related to all this, is the demise of the human civilization. According to a docudrama called 22, it talks about, which just was directed to me by Tom Luskew. He talked about how this show talks about how human beings are making themselves endangered species and are going to lead to our own demise. I could have told you that. We've been doing that since the time of the industrial age, back in the 1830s, 1840s, 50s, and so on. We've been actually poisoning our water, air, topsoil, GMOs, and yet we have been overpopulating the earth. And we all basically are inhaling and breathing someone else's off-file. And that's the reason why we're getting sick and diseases are running rampant. It's not because of anything other than our own stupidity and our own pollution that we have put out into the atmosphere. But what can we do as a society to change the sad reality? The truth is, not a heck of a lot, because as long as big business controls the EPA and other organizations, and those other organizations are trying to find special favors, the only thing you're going to find as the solution is to emigrate and leave Earth and find another planet you can pollute. I don't think there's any in the nearby future we can do, except Mars. And I don't think Mars wants us there. So, you know what? I think we've got a problem. We got to fix up this planet. This place is becoming a slum. We got to fix it up. We got to finally get people in charge that know what they're doing. And the sad truth is that people who really do know what they're doing are not the ones in business. They're the everyday, plain John and Jane Doe public that happen to be struggling with the same everyday excuses and problems as everyone else is. But they don't have a big pile of money behind them to back them, to make them appear more than just a tiny little nagging whisper in your ear. They are not like Yosemite Sam saying, I talk loud and I got a bigger stick and I use it too. They kind of remind me more like the Bugs Bunnies that kind of go out there and says, I speak softly, but I carry a big stick. Who's going to get more attention? The guy who speaks softly or the guy who basically carries a big stick and acts like a big giant asshole? You figure that one out. So the point is that everything I've said here so far today all kind of ties together. Nothing's changing. And that sucks. So let's work on trying to change things in the world. Let's work on it through one day at a time. Make it right. Do it right. And let's fix the problems of the world. And by the way, I would like to also invite you to all, please don't be afraid to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And if you don't like, I want to know too. Okay? These radio programs are a little simpler than the video ones. But the sad truth is, the problems I'm discussing are still the same. That is, the world problems are still the same problems. It doesn't matter if you put a camera on it or if you put a microphone on it. It's still the same problem, and it still needs solutions. So I'll talk to you soon, guys. Bye-bye.